Hello, Radiant Leo Soul. This is not just a horoscope reading, this is your soul's reminder of what it already knows. And if you're watching this right now, it's not a coincidence. It's a calling. Let me ask you something bold. What if the wealth you've been waiting for isn't something you chase, but something that responds to your stillness? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why you, Leo, were never meant to beg for blessings, but to become the center from which blessings flow. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, where we don't just predict your future, we remind you of your power to co-create it. Whether this is your first time here or you've been walking this journey with us for a while, feel this. You didn't land here by accident. You were drawn here, by rhythm, by resonance, by recognition. Right now, something in the universe is aligning in your favor. And not because you asked loudly, but because your energy, your silent, steady, sovereign frequency, has finally become undeniable. Leo, you are ruled by the sun. Not a flicker. Not a candle. A solar force that does not ask for validation. It simply shines. Consistently. Silently. Sustainably. The truth is, you are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. Your daily rituals, the way you fold your blanket, light your incense, speak to yourself in the mirror, are not mundane. They are spiritual code. Each act of presence, each repetition with intention, sends out a signal, not of desperation, but of coherence. And the universe? It responds best to coherence. So if lately you've felt like something is shifting, like people are showing up differently, opportunities are circling, or your body has started to breathe more deeply than before, you're not imagining it. You're remembering it. This is not a beginning. This is a recognition. And now, Leo, I want to say this from the deepest part of my spirit. Orange Heart, thank you. Thank you for being here. Every like, every comment, every time you share or subscribe, it doesn't just grow this channel. It deepens the frequency of this sacred circle. You are helping bring this energy to more hearts around the world. And I'm honored by your presence. That's why, today, I invite you to stay with me until the very end, because what the universe is revealing for you is nothing short of breathtaking. And before we dive deeper, leave a comment below with an angel number that's been showing up in your life lately. Whether it's 111, 222, 818, or even 777, it's not random. It's your confirmation. So breathe in. Feel your chest soften. Let your shoulders drop. This message isn't arriving to you, it's coming through you. Because when you're still, the universe is loud. And Leo, today, it's speaking your name. Stay with me. There's a quiet power in no longer needing to prove yourself. When a Leo reaches this level of inner certainty, it's as if the outer roar softens, but not out of weakness. Rather, because it is no longer necessary. The world already recognizes the frequency you're holding. And now, it's not about being seen. It's about being steady. That shift is profound, not flashy, not loud, but unmistakably real. This is the rhythm of presence. The moment when your actions no longer chase outcomes, but flow naturally from the clarity you've cultivated within. It's easy to misunderstand stillness as stagnation. But true stillness is dynamic. It's alive with intelligence, spaciousness, and direction. Just like a lion resting in the shade, not out of laziness, but because it knows exactly when to act and when to simply be. At this point in your journey, Leo, what's happening isn't a sudden miracle, but something even more remarkable, the recognition of the path you've been walking all along. That's why certain things may be returning to your life right now, not because you asked, but because you're finally in the state of coherence that allows them to stay. When you hold your rhythm long enough, without asking for applause, without explaining yourself, you begin to emit a vibration that the world can't help but align with. That's the Emperor card in action, a presence so grounded that it doesn't move with the winds of approval or fear. It simply is. And that being influences the entire field. This energy doesn't demand. It directs. Not through force, but through form. And form only arises when the foundation is still and solid. In the same way a tree holds space in a forest without competing for attention, your presence becomes architecture, silent but shaping. The people around you shift. Conversations slow down. Invitations appear. Even your breath lands more deeply, without you trying. And all of that, Leo, is proof that your field is speaking louder than any words could. There's a kind of wisdom that only reveals itself in silence. In ancient teachings, it's often said that the deepest transformations don't arrive like lightning, but like a steady flame. The kind you sit beside for a long time, letting it warm you, letting it remind you of your center. This is that moment for you. Not a breakthrough by force, but a deep settling into alignment. And what happens when you stop striving to be understood? You become magnetic, not because you change yourself, but because you finally stop scattering your energy trying to be everywhere, for everyone. What stays in your life now is what truly recognizes you. What leaves was never in resonance. This is the sacred filter that presence brings. So if you've noticed small shifts, like sleeping better, feeling less urgency, or receiving unexpected support, don't underestimate them. These are not coincidences. They're confirmations. Proof that your quiet commitment to yourself is reconfiguring your external world. You're not pushing anymore. You're simply holding. And that holding is what the world responds to. Your task now isn't to fix, fight, or prove. It's to remain. Remain in the rhythm that feels like home in your body. Remain in the calm that doesn't need to convince. Remain in the stillness that moves mountains, one silent breath at a time. And Leo, if you listen closely, you'll feel it too. The world isn't asking you to roar right now. It's leaning in, waiting for your stillness to speak. And believe me, it's listening. So often, we are taught to equate effort with worthiness. The harder you push, the more you deserve. The more you chase, the more you must want it. And yet, Leo, if you pause and reflect honestly, you'll realize some of the most meaningful shifts in your life haven't arrived through force, but through quiet readiness. They happened in the space between breaths, in the moments you chose not to run, but to stay. Not to strive, but to trust. What if your energy, not your actions, has always been the real catalyst? There's a powerful teaching in the rhythm of repetition. We often overlook it because it appears so ordinary. The way you straighten your desk before work. The way you sip tea at the same hour each day. The way you pause before answering someone, giving yourself a single sacred second. These are not insignificant. These are energetic codes, consistent frequencies that broadcast who you are long before you speak it. And energy, unlike words, doesn't lie. When you repeat a gesture with clarity and care, you create a stable field. And the field around you begins to respond, not because you begged it to, but because you've made it safe for alignment to arrive. This is the truth hidden in plain sight. The universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to coherence. Coherence is the energy of a being who has organized their life not around chasing outcomes, but around returning to themselves. In numerology, the number 4 is the architecture of your life. It holds you in reliability, in groundedness, in the trust that each brick you place matters. And 8, the sacred flow of material energy, prosperity, and karmic movement, dances only where rhythm exists. Together, these numbers teach us that wealth, of any kind, isn't summoned through effort alone. It is invited by the frequency you inhabit. This is the space where effort becomes elegant. Where discipline becomes devotion. Where presence becomes power. You don't need to shout your dreams into the void to be heard. You simply need to match their vibration, over and over again. And the most beautiful thing is, you've already been doing it. Every time you return to a habit that nourished you. Every time you showed up even when no one saw. Every time you chose consistency over chaos. That's when the field began to shift. There's an ancient wisdom that speaks of right effort, not the exhausting kind, but the kind that flows from awareness. It's the effort of showing up to your life as if it were already whole. When you act from that place, your gestures carry weight. Not because they're grand, but because they are precise. And when your energy becomes precise, your reality begins to align itself with surprising clarity. So if lately you've noticed subtle changes, conversations becoming more natural, money flowing with less strain, your body softening where it used to tense, don't question it. Honor it. These are reflections of a field that's finally found stability. Not perfection, but rhythm. And that rhythm is your quiet revolution. You don't have to do more to receive more. You just have to be more of who you already are, in a way that doesn't fluctuate based on the world's response. This is the heart of true manifestation, not chasing what you want, but embodying it before it arrives. And when you do, life meets you not as a test, but as a mirror. One that reflects not your longing, but your readiness. The body holds stories that the mind has long forgotten. It carries the memory of every moment you've rushed, every breath you've held, and every space you've abandoned within yourself in the pursuit of something outside of you. But Leo, now you are returning, not with noise, but with awareness. And your body, which has always waited patiently, is the first to recognize this shift. When your breathing becomes easier, it's not just a sign of relaxation, it's a sign of energetic openness. It means that something within you is no longer resisting. It means the walls you once built around your chest, around your heart, are beginning to soften. And in that softening, there is spaciousness. In that space, new energy arrives. That's why when your breath deepens, so does your connection, not just with yourself, but with life. It's easy to overlook these subtle signals. We're conditioned to chase bigger signs, louder wins, visible progress, clear results. But the body doesn't work like that. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And those whispers, like sleeping more soundly, feeling nourished by less, no longer feeling drained by conversation, are not just random occurrences. They are confirmations. Evidence that your field is stabilizing from the inside out. The card of strength in tarot is often misunderstood. It's not about taming the lion with force. It's about being so steady in your presence, so clear in your inner rhythm, that even the wildest part of you feels safe to settle. True strength isn't muscular. It's emotional mastery. It's the pause before you react. It's the way you hold yourself through discomfort without collapsing into it. It's grace under pressure, and clarity without control. The body understands this language better than the mind ever could. That's why it responds so powerfully to small, intentional rituals. When you place your hand on your chest each morning and speak the words, "I am full," within, you're not just saying an affirmation. You are anchoring a vibration. You're signaling to your nervous system that it doesn't need to stay in defense. You're reminding your cells that they are safe. And when the body feels safe, everything else aligns more easily. Sipping water slowly, with gratitude, may sound like a simple act. But it's one of the purest ways to return to presence. Water carries memory. When you honor it, it honors you back. You begin to hydrate not just your physical form, but your emotional energy as well. That's why small shifts in your daily rhythm ripple into larger waves of transformation. And those few minutes in the morning before you check your phone? That is sacred space. That is the portal between your inner landscape and the world outside. When you allow yourself even 5 minutes of undisturbed presence, you give your energy a chance to stabilize before it begins to respond. That pause is not a delay, it's a powerful act of self-respect. None of this is about being perfect. It's about being attuned. The body doesn't ask for your perfection. It asks for your presence. And right now, your body is responding in ways that may not look dramatic, but are deeply significant. You're sleeping more deeply because your mind no longer needs to solve everything before it rests. You're eating less because you're no longer feeding an emptiness with food. You're enjoying silence more because you've started to trust the sound of your own stillness. All of these are signs that you are no longer surviving. You are stabilizing. And that stability is the strongest frequency you can offer. From this place, wealth is not just possible, it is natural. Because now, Leo, your body knows how to stay. And when the body stays, abundance has a place to land. When love stops feeling like something you have to chase, it begins to feel like something you simply recognize. You're no longer moving from a place of scarcity, but from a place of clarity. Leo, your heart has always burned brightly, loyal, passionate, and deeply generous, but for a long time, that fire may have been spent trying to warm people who could not stay. You gave deeply. And often, you were left wondering if loving with your whole being was a strength or a vulnerability. But here's the shift, it was never about loving too much, it was about loving in misaligned directions. Now, something subtle yet powerful is unfolding. You're no longer seeking people to fill a space within you. You're radiating a frequency that reflects how full you've become on your own. And because of that, others are no longer arriving to test you. They're arriving to meet you. There's an important truth here: energy doesn't lie. We can speak of love, promise loyalty, perform devotion, but if the energy isn't grounded, it fades. But when you embody a frequency of self-respect, presence, and non-attachment, something changes. Love begins to flow toward you, not as a performance, but as a mirror. That's the deeper invitation of the Lover's card, not just romantic attraction, but soulful alignment. The King of Wands affirms this further: love now approaches you with purpose, with power, and with clarity, because that's what you've anchored within yourself. This is not about perfection. It's about integrity. When your words match your actions, when your tone matches your truth, when your stillness communicates what no chase ever could, then love feels safe enough to land. And you feel free enough to let it. This kind of connection doesn't begin with seduction. It begins with stillness. And stillness is never empty. It is full of presence, full of knowing. Sometimes, the deepest shift in love happens when you stop asking, "Do they love me?" and begin asking, "Is this love aligned with the version of me I'm choosing to be?" That one question rewrites everything. It removes the need to mold yourself for affection. It releases you from seeking validation through emotional acrobatics. It brings you back to your center, where love is not a reward, it's a reflection. This is also where compassion deepens. You start to see people not as potential saviors or threats, but as energy fields either resonating with your growth or not. And if they don't, it's not rejection, it's redirection. A kind of gentle release happens here, not out of bitterness, but out of understanding. You no longer need to cling to stories that once made you feel loved temporarily. You've outgrown conditional affection. Love becomes simpler, not easier, but purer. You give without depletion. You receive without fear. You no longer shrink yourself to be chosen. You simply are, and that is enough. Like water settling into its natural level, love finds you when you're still enough to hold it. This stillness is not passive, it is deeply intelligent. It is the quiet decision to stop overreaching and start attracting by resonance. And the people who show up now? They feel different, don't they? Conversations are smoother. Silence is comfortable. Presence is mutual. That's no accident, it's the reflection of your new frequency. Ask yourself gently, without judgment, am I trying to prove my worth to love, or am I letting love arise from who I've already become? Let your answer guide your next interaction. And let your energy do the talking. Because now, Leo, you're not asking for love to choose you. You're becoming the place where real love recognizes itself. Money, like breath, moves most naturally when there is no tension around its flow. When we tighten our grip on it, when we chase it, question it, obsess over its timing, we interrupt the very frequency that allows it to arrive. You may have asked yourself lately, when will my financial life finally shift? And the answer isn't hidden in a distant future or a sudden stroke of luck. It's already embedded in the energy you are practicing now. The moment you stop asking, when, and start aligning with, how I hold, you change everything. Leo, your energy is powerful, commanding, radiant. But when it comes to money, the most effective force you can wield isn't your passion, it's your presence. True prosperity does not answer to urgency. It answers to clarity. Clarity in your values. Clarity in your offerings. Clarity in your rhythm. This isn't about hustling harder or doing more. It's about becoming a stable field that wealth recognizes as home. The Ten of Pentacles reflects not just material gain, but legacy. It symbolizes wealth that arrives as a byproduct of alignment, not ambition. This kind of abundance isn't won through competition. It grows from consistency. It comes when your actions are not reactive, but rooted. When your financial energy becomes like a well-tended garden, you don't need to pull on the fruit, it ripens and falls into your hands. Every time you create from a place of joy rather than pressure, you shift the current around you. When you offer something to the world that reflects your inner coherence, whether it's a service, a product, or even your words, you're transmitting a frequency that draws others in naturally. You're not selling. You're resonating. And money responds to resonance more than any strategy ever could. This also means your relationship to money must be grounded in neutrality. Not avoidance, not obsession, but mindfulness. Imagine money as a guest. If your energy is frantic every time it visits, it will leave quickly. But if you greet it calmly, offer it space, allow it to move without pressure, it will return, and stay longer each time. This is why emotional neutrality is so important. When you take action with steadiness, not from fear, but from self-trust, you generate a field of attraction that becomes magnetic. There's a quiet teaching often repeated in contemplative traditions. What is meant for you will not pass you by, but only when you become still enough to receive it. That's true for money too. If your energy is scattered, if your mind is tangled in lack, if your body is tense with worry, then even opportunities that are meant for you will hesitate to land. But when your breath is slow, your focus is clear, your routines are balanced, then abundance arrives not as an event, but as a continuation. So practice treating your financial life not like a battle to win, but like a current to flow with. Begin each day with a single sentence, not as a demand, but as a gentle tuning. Money flows to me in surprising and loving ways. Then let your actions throughout the day echo that belief, not with force, but with calm repetition. Answer that email with intention. Price your service with fairness. Spend with awareness, not guilt. These are not transactions, they are affirmations. You no longer need to chase after money. You are becoming the place where money feels safe to return. And in that shift, what once felt distant begins to arrive, steadily, quietly, fully. Not because you demanded it, but because you finally made room for it to belong. If you've stayed with me until now, Leo, it means something inside you has already shifted. Not because of what I said, but because a part of you remembered. Remembered who you are when you stop performing, when you stop reaching, when you stop trying to prove. And in that remembering, you began to return, to your center, to your rhythm, to your quiet power. You don't need to become anything else to receive what's meant for you. You've already become it through every breath you've taken in awareness, through every choice you've made with intention. The world is not waiting for you to shine louder. It's already responding to how clearly you've started to stand in your light. Not the kind that blinds, but the kind that warms. The kind that stays. What if you stopped asking when the breakthrough will come, and started asking, What would it feel like to live as if it's already here? What would shift in your voice? In your relationships? In the way you begin your day? In the way you touch the things around you? Wealth, true wealth, isn't a thing you chase. It's a frequency you stabilize. And you've been doing that in ways you may not even realize. The calm way you answered that phone call, the quiet moment you chose gratitude over anxiety, the way you kept showing up even when no one clapped. These are not small. They are powerful. And they are the exact reasons why abundance knows how to find you now. So ask yourself gently, what is one rhythm I'm ready to honor more deeply? Maybe it's the way you care for your body in the morning. Maybe it's how you manage your time. Maybe it's how you speak to yourself when no one's listening. Choose one. Live it with reverence. Repeat it not out of obligation, but out of love. Let that be your signal. And trust me, the field will recognize it. You are no longer someone waiting for signs. You are the sign. And you don't need permission to act like it. If this message resonated with something deep inside you, let it echo. Comment below with a phrase that matches your current frequency, something like, I hold the rhythm, or I'm already aligned, or even something uniquely yours. Your words have weight. Let them ground you. And if this brought you a sense of peace, clarity, or calm, a sense that your path is real and unfolding, please like this video. Share it with someone whose light deserves to be reflected back. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness to keep walking this journey with us. Thank you for being here, not just watching, but feeling, holding, and becoming. Everything you need is already responding to who you've chosen to be. And Leo, you didn't arrive here by chance. You arrived because your frequency called this moment into being. Now breathe. Let it settle. You don't have to try harder. You just have to remain in what's already true. Because the richest thing you'll ever hold was always your own energy, aligned and unwavering. And today, you've remembered that. Let it begin again, quietly, consistently, powerfully.